Welcome to the Storytime channel. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven, and today we have some malicious compliance stories. Our first story of the day is by Garmstrong318. You want directions to where? Okay. First off, before we start, this is in the UK. This happened in 2019 to me personally. I live in the UK in a tourist town/city in the UK, and as such, when we are in the city/town center, we often get tourists asking directions to this thing and that. No biggie, most of the time I just happily point in the direction, give as good of a description as I can, and off I go. This Saturday afternoon, in midsummer, I'm with my family and we are in town and looking for a place to eat, when a tourist stops me and asks where can I find the Citadel. Now let me make this clear. I'm in the north of England and the only place has what I know of as the Citadel. And the only place that has what I know of as the Citadel is in Carlisle, around 5 hours car or train journey away. So I politely say, sorry, I don't know what you mean. The tourist and his wife stop me and in a thick American accent say again, I want to go see your Citadel. Now, normally, most US tourists are amazingly polite and nice, but this cantankerous jerk was anything but. I repeated, I'm sorry, I lived here all my life and the nearest Citadel is Carlisle that I know of, but that's... They turned red and shouted at me, I don't care what you think, you hillbilly, now tell me how to get there. This is yelled at the top of his lungs 6 inches away. So I calmly say, okay, no problem, and I proceeded to give him directions that will eventually lead him to a station nearby. Not in the town/city, but a village outside. It'll take him around 2 hours to walk there. He notes them down. I even point out the landmarks he will see. Real things, I mean. I then say he will need to board a local train to a sleepily little place. Actually, it's a larger city. Then change trains to X being a town with a station around 1 to 2 hours south of Carlisle, and tell him he can get a connecting train from there. They smirk and say, here you hillbilly, that wasn't so bad to be nice now, was it? And gives me a quarter. No kidding, I have it. Cleaned off, of course. Still in a jar in my office on a shelf full of other coins you can't spend in the UK. You will be amazed how many dodgy coins you get from machines in the UK. I have no idea if the idiot followed my directions or not, or if he realized I gave him the most convoluted journey I could think of on the fly. Still makes me laugh to think of the idiot and his poor wife stuck on a train to Carlisle wondering where it all went wrong. Yes, I was a little crappy, but if he had listened, I would have asked if he meant a local castle. But like I said, I've lived here all my life and it's never been referred to as a citadel, and told him how to get there in 5 minutes. Lesson of the story, don't be an a-hole. If you had a rude tourist come up to you asking for directions to some absolutely wrong place, and they just continued on being rude, would you prefer to just cut them off and leave? Or would you want to do what OP did here and misdirect them and make them waste their absolute vacation or tourist time for being such a jerk? Let me know in the comments down below. This next story is by Amraf. I told you the veranda was closed. A post on Reddit reminded me of a good story from my security days. My building was a mixed-use property. We had 5 office towers, a food court, and 2 floors of retail. One unique feature of our building was that on the 2nd floor, we had an outdoor veranda that a lot of the office workers liked to sit on and eat lunch. It was very concrete jungle, as it was pretty much all cement and decorative rock, with some benches and planters of greenery, but it was better than the food court. Thing is, this was also in Canada, where Canadian geese like to nest pretty much anywhere they can find. For those unfamiliar, Canadian geese will return to the same spot every year to nest, and while they are a protected species, so you can't touch, hurt, or kill them or destroy their nests or eggs, they honestly don't need that protection. They can handle crap on their own. They are freaking demons with feathers. Every year, spring would roll around and like clockwork, we would get 2 or 3 pairs of geese on the veranda building their nests. So we would simply lock the doors to the area and put up sorry, closed signs. We would call in a wildlife company that had special permission from the federal government to relocate geese and their nests, but they would often take a week or more to get around to us. Until then, Veranda was closed. One day, the company that owned the building had a couple bigwigs in from another country for a big meeting and tour. Well, apparently, the biggest bigwig was not pleased that the veranda was closed and he demanded it be opened up so they could see it. Building manager took an earful over it and then called me to come unlock it. I arrived and started to explain why the veranda was closed, but I just got a very knowing look from the building manager. So I shrugged, unlocked it, and held the door open for biggest wig. I decided to stick around and keep the door ajar and just wait. It took a grand total of about a minute before I heard yelling and another 30 seconds or so before the entourage all came barreling back towards the door in a full panic, running at full speed. As soon as they made it all through the door, I shut it just in time to keep 3 very angry, very violent geese from getting into the building. While Biggest Wig was trying to smooth himself out while still extremely flustered, I locked the door and asked, "So, what do you think of the veranda?" The look the building manager shot me looked like he was about to shove me onto the veranda with the geese, so I decided to quickly take my leave. I just love that beautiful little innocent, "So, what did you think of the veranda?" at the very end there. I'm sure the look that the building manager shot them was definitely a look that could kill. And now I know not to mess with Canadian geese, so I learned something today. Our next story is by Jesusaurus Rex. Lazy manager won't listen that I haven't been trained on a job, ends up doing the job. At the time, I was a high schooler in Texas and looking for a job to get some extra pocket change like a lot of high schoolers do. I ended up getting a job at a fast food place where people don't have designated official positions. The manager would make the schedule weekly and you'd find out whether you were packing orders, working the drive-thru window, working the inside register, backwash, doing the dishes, or working door, which essentially meant going out to cars in line and taking their orders as our drive-thru speaker didn't work, which also got us tips so it wasn't all bad. Side note, the manager was a lazy feminine hygiene product who would sit in the office messing around with their fantasy football team and making sexual comments about the girls, some of which were high schoolers, mind you. I recently learned that he was fired for having sex multiple times at the store with employees despite having a wife and kids. Anyway, usually new hires were trained for 9 total shifts with 2 shifts for each position on everything except the drive-thru window, where you only get one as it's fairly easy to do once you know what you're doing. I was never actually trained on window because on my shift, to learn how to do it, the person responsible for backwash called in and I was told to take their place as the new guy, so the more experienced people could handle the part of the store directly impacting customers while understaffed. Fast forward to a Sunday 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. shift, which includes our busiest time of the week, the after-church lunch rush. When I got in and looked at the schedule, I was assigned to working window and to the best of my memory, the conversation went like this. "So I'm supposed to work window, but I never actually got trained on it." Manager says, "Everyone gets trained on everything. You probably just don't remember it happening, but it's easy anyway." But I didn't get trained on it. I had to go do backwash because, "Look, I have to help get ready for the lunch rush. You'll be fine." At that point, I just decided to go attempt to work a station I didn't know how to do. The lunch rush hits and we're extremely busy, as to be expected, and I'm doing my best to try and do a job I wasn't trained in. Window's job includes trying to cash out cars and give drinks to cars who ordered food. Door handled just drink orders as they costed exactly $1, as well as handing out food when it's ready. Once you cashed out the car at the window, you're supposed to start going outside and handling the next car in line. This sped things up a lot so that when packing was done, you'd probably hand out 2 to 3 orders in a row right after each other. Now, since I had never been trained on window, I didn't know that 1. I was supposed to hand out drinks. I assumed door did because I was told to get people drinks when trained on door. In retrospect, window probably didn't say anything when I was doing that just because it made their job easier. Or 2. Cash out more than the first car. Needless to say, things got really backed up really fast as I would constantly have people say, "Where's our drinks?" and would only do 1 car at a time because I didn't know any better. Fallout. 30 minutes into the rush, our drive-through line is wrapping around the building almost to the point where the car at the window can see the back of the line. The manager, probably seeing people leave the line because of how ridiculous the wait is, comes over to me and, "What the heck are you doing?" "I don't really know. I tried to tell you I didn't know how to do window. I'm taking the people's money and handing out the food. I think the door person keeps forgetting to give people their drinks." "You're supposed to give people their drinks if they got food. Why aren't you cashing out more than 1 car at a time? Who trained you on window?" "I tried to tell you, no one did, but you didn't listen." At that point, he just told me to go help the person on door take orders, something I knew how to do, and he had to end up taking over window to try to begin to catch up. Not only that, but since we were so backed up, the lunch rush lasted at least an hour past its normal time, since for whatever reason, people wanted to wait that long for our food. It definitely ruined his usual routine of sitting in the office looking at his phone. Also, I was trained how to do window my very next shift. I mean, it's just about what the manager deserves, right? They didn't listen to you at all when you told them that you weren't trained at all on the window. So surprise, when it doesn't go well because you weren't trained, better roll up their own sleeves and get to it. Better than them sitting around in their office all day anyways. This next story is by Christy the Geek. Manager wouldn't let me take breaks. I work part-time at a pharmacy chain. I personally don't smoke, but all of my coworkers do. If there are customers in the store or not, they will have me cover for them for 10 to 15 minute smoke breaks in the back every hour or 2. I asked my manager if maybe I could take a 15-minute break if there weren't customers, and my manager said no, I can only take smoke breaks or bathroom breaks. So, every 2 or 3 hours, if there's no customers, I take a bathroom break for 15 minutes. I'd be taking a smoke break for 15 minutes if I had to. I don't smoke, but you definitely catch me taking the breaks. Also, it's very apparent that the manager is a smoker, otherwise they wouldn't tolerate the whole smoke break thing. Our next story is by Galaxy Cube 101, Have a Very Mute Christmas. My parents weren't the nicest of people. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I can send a few examples if anyone asks for it. Well, obviously as a child, I was hyped by Christmas. One Christmas in particular was special. 13 days before Christmas, we decided to set up the tree. I was excited because you only get to do that once a year. I was maybe 14 or 15 at the time, and I was quite a responsible child. Any normal person would see Christmas as a time of joy and happiness. My parents see it as a time to get angry at me for anything they can. "You can't put an ornament there," or "You put up the Christmas tree wrong," and stupid stuff like that. I was being on my best behavior, according to their standards, that day, and I made sure to do everything perfectly, which of course was all wrong to them. I was lightening the mood by cracking a few jokes and trying to make it a good time while we put up the Christmas tree. My mom, who is the queen of all Karens, again, I can put some examples if anyone asks, said that I was talking too much and that, and I quote, "Christmas is more Christmassy when you don't talk." I was gobsmacked at this woman. Then I had a plan. The only thing I said was, "Oh, why thank you," as sarcastically as I could, which is out of my character. And I took an oath of silence for as long as I possibly could until Christmas was over. The whole day I went without talking. Then the next day, and the next day. Each day my mom got more and more furious. Finally, on Christmas Day, she had had enough and started screaming at me how you should address your parents with "yes, ma'am," and how I was being so disrespectful. The only words that came out of my mouth that day were, "But it's more Christmassy when I don't talk." She never told me to be quiet again. That's so incredibly satisfying to hear their mother act like that and then get so upset and twisted up about OP sticking to exactly what they said, their terrible standards and restrictions they want to put on you. Hopefully they realize that some of the things they say is absolutely ridiculous and rude as heck. And our final story of the day is by Iserina. Complain about the music? Okay then. So at my work, we were playing Christmas music for a bit over the radio thing whatever. I don't know what system we actually use. But some people complained because not everyone celebrates Christmas. So management played country music instead. But that was also met with complaints from some quarters. So they played current hits. But that was also met with complaints from some who felt some songs were offensive. Now they play elevator music and everyone hates it. At least we're all annoyed equally, I guess. I just want to hear somebody come up with some way that elevator music is offensive too. You just can't have nice things. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.